Good morning, Chiriqui. Good morning, Boquete. This is Talking with Your Doctor live on Radio Chiriqui 103.3 FM. Coming at you today with Al Stefanelli, host of Boquete Now Talk Show. How you doing today, Al?
I'm doing great, man. It's a beautiful day here in Chiriqui, and the sun's out, and there's some lingering clouds around, but you know what?
We're definitely going to get some rain probably earlier today, but right now it's perfect weather.
It is a wonderful day.
It is. It's beautiful out, and all of you suffering down in David in the heat, I'm sorry.
Yep. And all my friends and family who are in 30, 40 degree weather up north.
Oh, you're right.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. We're having great weather here. It's got to be, what, mid to 70s?
Mid 70s, yeah, light breeze.
Easy.
Yeah.
So how was your week this week?
It was eventful. We my wife Day and I have just decided a while back that as we see the case counts increase here in Boquete, and as they've been opening things up and there's been more people congregating.
Yeah, kind of stressful.
Yeah, we've decided that we're gonna lay low and not really get out very much. So we really haven't been out of the house. Maybe that's paranoia. Maybe it's justified. I think it is, or else I wouldn't be doing it. But we still had a good week, though. Watched a lot of TV. Yeah.
Netflix is a saver.
Netflix and Amazon Prime and all that.
Amazon Prime and anything else you can find online or whatever.
I've made some trips to the grocery store to get some ingredients because that's really all I'm good for at the grocery store. My wife's the cook. So
you pick up the ingredients.
She's like, "What do you want to eat?" I'm like, "Oh," and she give me a list of choices, and I'd love that. She goes, "Okay, we need to go to the store." So okay, go to the store, get the ingredients. So it's been a quiet week over at our house because, like I said, we have been kind of sequestering ourselves.
Yeah.
But a good week. How about you? How was your week?
It's been good. Well, actually, I started this exercise program. I started about a month ago or so, and last weekend, I started feeling the twinge in the neck and the shoulder. And this is the shoulder I injured. That's the one I had the broken collarbone and got repaired. So I'm taking my muscle relaxants and my Tylenol and all that good stuff. And I'm thinking, okay, I can handle this. And I keep doing like workouts, but I do them, a little bit more practically. Yeah. Well, a couple of days ago, I just couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't sleep. I was just getting these muscle cramps. So I finally called Jessica Bell. You know Jessica. She's a physical therapist. She has her clinic close to where I work.
Yeah.
A couple doors down. And I called her and I said, "Jessica, help me. Can you fit me in tomorrow?" And she was nice enough to say, "Hey, yeah, come by at 10 and I'll take a look at you." So she got some excellent new equipment. I mean, she's got this big electronic machine. It's got the ultrasound in it. It's got the stim treatments in it. It's got I don't know how many different settings for different injuries and different muscle problems. Just this really high-tech machinery. And she's hooking me up, and I've got wires coming off of me and ice packs, and finally at the end she gives me this awesome massage.
Oh man!
With this nice scented oil, and then she puts these kinesio tapes on me.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah, that's kinesio tape.
Okay.
You can see it.
So it
you guys out there. Yeah, actually, what it does is it kind of stretches out the muscles, it elongates the muscles, and helps the healing process. And yesterday when I went, this was all kind of swelled up and painful. And this morning, I didn't believe it was going to do anything. I was like, okay, yeah, it'll probably be, another week that I'm suffering, and I'll have to make a couple more trips back there. I woke up today, and I was like, I can turn my head.
Yeah. I know, shoulder and shoulder injury. Day's had shoulder surgery. She had gotten badly injured at a job about 10 years ago, maybe longer than that. Well, if I sit here and think how long, I'll just go off into la la land. But it was a while ago and required surgery where she had to have plastic anchors installed in her. And I remember the physical therapy with the ice machine and having to just sit in a chair for hours on end. But even to this day, in certain conditions or when she moves a certain way, it still acts up a lot. So I'm glad that you found
tell her about Jessica.
Well, several of our friends use her. I mean, I know she's fantastic. I've never used her, but listening to friends of mine that use her, it's like, give this woman a cape.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I really didn't think she'd be able to do it from one day to the next. I was like, I know, go ahead and sign me up for next week because I know I'm going to need you again. And she did. And I was just amazed. I was driving here to the station. I was like, wow, you know what? I can actually, move my head, move my arm, and I'm not feeling pain. And I reached back here where I felt that big ball of tension.
Yeah.
Gone.
Yeah.
She is amazing. Let me tell you guys, if you need a massage or you have an old injury that's acting up, go and see Jessica Bell. She's really, really good.
2 doors down from Shannon.
2 doors down from Clínica Especializada, also known as Dr. Gomez's clinic, Dr. Shannon's clinic, Dr. Chen's clinic, the clinic.
And Kevin's clinic. Isn't there a Kevin that works there?
Kevin Goad, he is a urologist, and he does or did come some weekends to see urology patients. During the pandemic, since he got assigned to Bocas del Toro in the public hospital, he was still traveling back and forth. But once the pandemic hit, he couldn't travel.
Yeah. No, he took care of Day at one point when I think she got dehydrated or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Before he got his certification in urology. That waiting period between, okay, I finished my residency and I'm waiting for my license to come out. He worked as a general physician at a clinic. He covered, when I fractured my collarbone, he covered for me because I obviously couldn't work for a couple of weeks. So he covered my hours, and he's a excellent.
Very pleasant. Very pleasant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Speaks English well, and hopefully we'll be able to get him back up to Boquete to see his urology patients again.
Yeah.
It's a convenience to have specialists that come up to the clinic.
It is, especially, for older or middle-aged to senior men. Yeah. Having a urologist close by is kind of handy.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we see all kinds of emergencies, with prostate problems and bleeding problems, that kind of thing. We can handle, the support aspect and the stabilization of the patient. But more than that, you really need a specialist, especially for follow-up care. Yes, an internal medicine doc can do it, and we do have a good internal medicine doc that comes up on appointments. Speaks English, which is good, and he can handle the stuff that us general physicians don't normally handle. Although we've had to during the pandemic handle a lot of stuff.
No, that's a game changer for for a lot of things. And I'm wondering, I mean. Just because my mind works in strange and unusual ways. I'm thinking, okay, so now we've got you and Dr. Gomez and Dr. Chen, in your clinic, and there's a couple other clinics here in town. I have to wonder, or maybe just an uneducated guess, and it might be an educated guess for you, that case counts are going to increase. Everywhere that you look, when they open up, when they open up an area, and that's not a reflection on anyone's failure or anything. It's just the way it goes.
Right.
Because there's so many people here in Boquete that are older, and some, we got a lot of people in their 70s and 80s here. Do you think that there's going to be this huge, massive increase, and how do you think that would handle it? I mean, I know you're supposed to be asking the questions, but it just occurred to me that
no, that's fine. I mean, this is a mutual thing here. We'll just do a little bit of back and forth banter here. No, you're right. We do tend to see when you start lifting the restrictions, you see like an infection rate jump up. Yes, it's going to happen. People are excited to have new freedom again.
Sure, yeah.
They're excited to go out to restaurants again. Maybe with the lifting of restrictions, they get kind of lax in their hygiene as far as hand washing and wearing masks and using alcohol spray. We obviously in a restaurant, you can't wear a mask when you eat.
Yeah.
And so when you're at the tables, you don't have to wear a mask. There's always that danger that you're with somebody that's asymptomatic and they're going to spread it to you.
Yeah.
Now, we've got much better treatments. We have much earlier detection. It's making survival rates a little bit better.
Yeah.
It's making recovery rates a little bit better. It's not any miracle thing where I could say I'm going to go out and it doesn't matter if I get sick because they'll be able to fix me up.
Yeah.
You don't want to take that chance if you got pre-existing conditions that really, overweight, diabetic, hypertensive, sit back, take care of yourself, get takeout.
Yeah, and there's the restaurants here are still doing delivery.
They are,
So,
and I don't want to say don't support your local restaurants. Definitely support your local restaurants. They need all the help they can get at the moment.
Yeah, everyone does here, absolutely.
Yeah. By the way, we are taking your calls this morning here at Radio Chiriquí. The number is 6-729-5729. So if you have a question for Al or myself, please call in. It doesn't have to be necessarily a medical question.
No,
it can be on anything.
Shoot from the hip, man.
Yeah, we're prepared for anything. We studied last night.
We did.
Yeah,
we did.
So give us a call, 6-729-5729. If you have any questions, comments, whatever, give us a call, and we'd be glad to hear from you.
You talk about people having these I guess they call them comorbidities or underlying conditions. If you feel sick, and maybe, and you know this obviously because you're the doctor, if you feel sick,
I am,
and you and you're not sure, if it's COVID, right? Well, I don't know if this is a symptom, but I don't feel good. If you call the Rosa, they'll ask you 4 or 5 questions.
Right. It's all electronic. It's not an actual person at the beginning. It's automated.
And it's not like where the questions fly by. You have time to copy and paste it into a translator.
Okay.
But the questions, they're pretty self-explanatory. And then someone calls you back within a day or two, and then they'll ask you questions. And if you can't speak Spanish, many of them know enough rudimentary English.
That's good to know.
And they'll ask you a couple of questions, and then they'll say, okay, go down and do you have a hospital near you? Because they don't know where you are. And you say, okay, well, I have the hospital here in David, or I'm in Boquete, there's the Policlinica, there's the Minsa.
Yeah.
So you go to Minsa, and they do a rapid test.
Right.
And they're not there every day. Sometimes they're out in the field, but when they're there, you wait online for anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour, and you're in and out, and they give you your results right there. But what they do also is take it one step further, is they'll say, okay, your rapid test is negative, and we're going to send this to the lab for a more, I don't want to say accurate, but a more conclusive.
They do a probably a more sensitive test to detect.
And they say
the rapid, if it comes back negative, or even if it comes back positive, they send it on to confirm it.
Yeah. So they say, all right, just stay home for a few days, and we'll get back to you.
Isolate yourself until
Isolate yourself. So if you don't, and it's anonymous to a point. Now, there is a point where you have to give them like your passport number or your scheduler number, but
they have to be able to find you.
They have to be able to find you later. But if you feel sick, they don't charge you for it. It's a free test. So it's free to the patient.
Right.
Obviously the government pays.
The government paid for all the tests, or they got them donated. I know there were some donations of tests from the states, I believe.
Yeah, so there's no reason really, if you're not feeling yourself.
Right.
Why not go down? It'll take an hour, a couple hours out of your day, and the test doesn't cost you anything, and they're very thorough.
And I know you and I both have known people that have gone to do the test.
Yeah.
Have they ever said that they felt like they were being exposed or to the virus, or felt like the hospital was or the clinic was overrun and they felt uncomfortable waiting in line to get their test?
No, they haven't. They do they're very, very conscientious about that social distancing, to the point where if you get too close to someone, someone comes out and spaces you apart again. And it's funny you mentioned that, being exposed, we don't really know who we're exposed to.
Right.
And
you don't anyway.
And a lot of us have housekeepers and gardeners and exterminators and whatnot that come in and out of our home, and we're in stores, we're out of stores. So if you don't feel good, go get the test done. If it comes back positive, now, you can plan on what to do.
Right.
And if it comes back negative,
you don't want to expose other people. You don't want to expose your friends or the rest of your family, or go to a store if you're feeling badly. You know that you probably been exposed,
Yeah.
or you come back positive, do it. It's uncomfortable to test.
Yeah, I've had it done, and it's not what I would call something I'd want to keep on doing.
No, they shoved that swab way up there.
Yeah, pretty high up. You're like, yeah.
Right.
It's kind of like when you hold a sneeze.
Mm-hmm.
But it's momentarily.
It's a
momentary discomfort.
Yeah.
But I would rather either know one way or the other. Okay, well, I've tested positive.
Mm-hmm.
Now I know there's guidelines, there's things I'm supposed to do. There's going to be interviews with contact tracing and all that.
Yeah.
And if you test negative, at least you have that peace of mind, and then you'll get the more the confirmation result.
Right.
4 days, 4 days later.
That's probably one of the most frequent questions I get from people is, I feel badly. I have a fever and I haven't. I never get fevers.
Yeah.
I kind of have maybe a sore throat or a headache, maybe some body aches. I don't know whether it's a cold or my allergies or if I could have been exposed to COVID. Any one of us, just by going out to a store, can be exposed and expose your family members.
Yeah.
So just because you're not going out of the house, if somebody else is coming in,
Yeah.
it's a possibility.
Well, we also talked last week's show. We talked about the people for whatever reasons they have, whether they're afraid of losing work or being publicly shamed or whatever, that don't get tested, and they may be asymptomatic, or they may even be symptomatic, mildly symptomatic, and they're in the same stores. They're going grocery shopping, they're paying their electric bill or whatever. We were talking before the show, and I went to the grocery store the other day. I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to be conscientious, right? I get there, I park my car, I do my thing with my hands, and then I step on a little mat, and then I get my temperature taken on my wrist, and they put the stuff on my hands again, and I'm thinking I'm doing really good. And then the first thing I do when I go in is I grab a cart, and I know that they're supposed to be, and they may very well be,
There's a possibility
sanitizing the carts. But then, okay, I'm thinking, I'm walking through the store, and as I'm picking stuff up off the shelves to look at it, I keep thinking, how many other people have touched this?
Yeah.
Or then when
how many pre-symptomatic people have been in
have
here
touched this.
and don't know they're sick and are already spreading the germs?
By the time I left the store, that New York City paranoia that I carry around with me in giant suitcases, I picture myself as this, wearing a COVID suit. And got all these things stuck to me like little burrs, and
you do. You kind of imagine that you've got
I'm covered in blue and red, and that's taking it obviously to an extreme.
It is.
You never know.
You
never know though. So if you don't feel good,
And the very best. I mean, what they're recommending. We freak out because we can't distance ourselves as much in the small supermarkets up here as we'd like. You have a whole lot less chance catching it from somebody that might have it if you're both wearing a mask. Much less chance catching it.
Yeah.
Yes, we prefer social distancing. That gives that added layer of protection.
Yeah.
But in some places, as everybody's noticed here, the grocery store might feel really full. Like you can't go down an aisle without bumping into someone else. The mask, as long as everybody's being conscientious and they've got it over their nose and their mouth.
Yeah.
I've seen so many people that pull it down below their nose.
Yeah.
And that's just not going to work.
No.
Not for that person.
Or the other
person.
Yeah. And I see these face shields too. And it's just basically like glasses arms with the face, and they're a couple of bucks. They're not expensive. No. And I see more. I'm seeing more and more of that.
There are more and more people wearing.
At first, I wasn't really seeing those. Occasionally, you see some goggles, some sunglasses, or whatever. But now I'm seeing more and more of those with the mask.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that has anything to do with lately. I think last week a report came out about how it can get into your eyes.
Well, it is airborne, and we've known it for a while, and we have been saying it, and we've been getting mixed messages passed through to us by the media. But we do know, and we have suspected for a long time, that it is airborne, not just in the little droplets, okay? The droplets that we're talking about are coughing and sneezing. Those droplets tend to be heavier. They don't stay in the air as long, and they drop onto surfaces. Those are the ones we touch and can touch an eye and get it into the eye, touch a nose, get it into the nose or the mouth. But there is a smaller aerosol that comes out of our mouths when we talk, when we laugh. yell or whatever, that comes out, and it's lighter, so it stays in the air.
It lingers.
It lingers there, and just imagine like a cloud of mist.
Yeah.
Lingering there. You can't see it, but you can walk through it, and it can, if it's got a high enough concentration of virus, you are at risk of getting sick. Now, like you said, wearing the face shield, wearing a mask, it does offer some protection, but even so, if you're playing with your mask all the time, if you're touching that face shield all the time, and then you're rubbing an eye or rubbing a nose without having disinfected first, then you can still get some particles of virus into your system. That won't necessarily cause infection. It depends on how much of this virus you're getting.
Yeah. Well, I know that if you spray your hands with alcohol and then you touch your eye, you won't do that again.
No, you don't want to do that. No.
That burns.
Yeah.
Gosh,
that does burn. And that'll teach you.
Yeah. Don't put the fork in the electrical socket.
But I've seen people they'll touch their eyes or their nose, and then they'll go, I just touched my face, and then they'll spray themselves down with alcohol, and then they'll rub it all over their face, and I'm just thinking, wow, that's gotta hurt.
A little burny.
Yeah. Burning never hurt anybody.
I don't know what more we can do. I mean, and I know that in a lot of places, unfortunately, there's people are still pointing fingers at you if you're wearing a mask and all that stuff, and
saying that you're overly concerned.
Just ignore it. I mean, the alternative is, even if it doesn't kill you, nobody wants to get a respiratory infection.
No.
I've had a couple of them, and they're not fun. And I have COPD.
Yeah.
And I still smoke. And a respiratory infection, to me, you might as well just put a 100-pound weight on my chest because I literally can't breathe. So the alternative to not taking that extra precaution, is not worth it.
It's too dangerous. I mean, you don't know if you're going to get a severe infection or not. You don't know if it's just going to be, a few cold symptoms, or if it's going to be something more severe that's going to actually put you in the hospital, regardless of your health status.
Yeah.
And it can happen. I was reading some medical information from the medical sites that I subscribe to. Under 20 years old, you're less likely to develop these severe complications and stuff. But immediately, like 20 years old and over, they're seeing that you can get pretty bad complications, regardless of health status, regardless of pre-existing conditions or anything like that. They're seeing, and these are the ones that are going out and working. This is our workforce out there. 20 years up, and they're getting exposed or exposing others. And really, it's going to start taxing the health system not because they're going to get so severe they're going to end up in the hospital, but they're going to have recurrent things, recurrent pain, exhaustion, because these are things that are post-COVID. No matter what kind of symptoms you had while you had COVID, there are lingering effects for months afterwards. And the health system, I'm getting patients that have recovered, and they're continuing with symptoms, and we have to figure out how to help, because some of these symptoms are actually debilitating. Especially the fatigue.
Well, taxing the healthcare system. What I think a lot of people don't consider is that the stuff that normally goes on still goes on. People still develop, they have cancer, they have diabetes, they get colds, they get flus, they get broken bones, they get hit by cars, they, everything. And then you add this on top of that, and that's what taxes it. If you're a medical facility, and I only know this because I have cousins that own a hospital out in California, and they're set up to operate on a 60 to 80% capacity in an emergency. And so when an emergency comes, like a regular flu season, they get up to that capacity, and then they still have room,
They have overflow.
They have overflow. And then you add a pandemic on that. And I don't know if anyone out there remembers a short-lived TV show called Code Black. And it was about Angels Hospital in Los Angeles, to where a code black in the emergency room means they have more patients than they have physicians.
And that's when they have to close the doors and say, we can't even take
traumas
or anything.
And
divert.
And that happens, I guess in LA it would happen a lot, but even at the hospital that my family owns in California, when that happens, they literally there's no beds, there's
Right.
no room in hallways, there's no
Right.
they run out of PPE, they run out of antibiotics, they run out of all this stuff, and I've talked to them, and it's so overwhelming that to have to turn someone away, and it's because of
Not having any.
not having
Yeah.
enough. I have cousins that are
It would be
doctors.
more of a risk to take this patient in.
They're not, even if
yeah.
they have the room. So taxing now, and that's just in one hospital in a very congested urban area.
Right.
I have family that are physicians, doctors, emergency room doctors in Italy, and when they got slammed, everybody, I mean, even the rural hospitals, to where they may on a bad day be at 20 or 30%. Every single hospital that they've told me about, from the inner city hospitals to the rural hospitals, they were all taxed. They were
Right.
all over.
The rural hospitals
Yeah.
obviously don't have enough doctors and nurses
Yeah.
as it is. The city hospitals, yeah, sure, they have a lot of more doctors, a lot more nurses. But when you take it into account that many of them are getting sick and having to go isolate themselves,
Yep.
we have a young doctor that's been, his picture's been going around the internet. That's been very sick. He looks like he might be in his 20s or 30s, and he needs a lung transplant. That's how sick he got
man.
with COVID. It destroyed his lungs. He's not going to get better unless he can get that lung transplant. They're trying to raise money to send him to a surgical center in the U.S. somewhere.
Yeah.
I guess that's where they presented the case and where he was accepted, but they have to raise X amount of dollars to be
Yeah.
able to send him there and pay for the transplant and the continuing
Sure,
care
yeah.
afterwards. It's a sad situation. We're losing doctors and nurses left
Yeah.
and right, not just here in Panama, but in the
Everywhere.
States and
Yeah,
everywhere.
Everywhere.
And, if people would just try to wear their mask,
It's such a simple, right? It's such a. I mean, you get
It's
these
silly, it's
hospitals.
simple.
They've got 200 ICU beds, and then the 200 ICU beds get full. So now in the neighboring county, you have 3 or 4
Right.
rural hospitals that may be at 20-30% capacity. Well, now they're shipping the patients from the urban hospitals to the rural hospitals, and now they're full. And they're not prepared. Then you have the problem, like you just said, with the medical staff having to quarantine and getting sick, and in some unfortunate cases, dying themselves. And when you look at, okay, wear a mask,
Yep.
and that's the easiest thing
The
to do.
easiest thing everyone can do. Uncomfortable, yes.
Yeah,
Most of us go in and out of the store. 15 minutes, you're wearing a mask. You
Yeah.
get into your car. Most people are taking it off and going home.
yeah. Well, I don't wear my mask in the car, and I don't know if that's good or bad. I don't know if that's I mean, I don't. If I have someone in the car with me, which is rare, but if I've taken a vet friend of mine up to whatever, but if it's me and Day, I don't wear my mask in
Right.
the car. I have trouble breathing, but not to where I won't wear the mask.
Right. It's
You
uncomfortable. That's true.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable to be out walking your dog and wearing a mask. It's uncomfortable going to a store wearing a mask. It's uncomfortable in David where it's so hot
Yeah.
to wear a mask.
Now
I know this. I do this too. And I don't like it any more than anybody else, but I also don't want to get sick.
Well, this as funny as it sounds, the biggest complaint I have about wearing a mask is I have a beard, and it tickles.
It itches.
It goes, and I'm sitting there, and I can't help it. My face itches, and I scratch my face, and I'm like, I just touched my mask. I just did it again.
Yeah. I'm watching you. I'm counting. That's
Yeah.
like 10, 20 times now. And listen to this. Here's another statistic, and this is also from one of my medical sites. A study finds that there is a low prevalence of seropositive cases in the States. What this means is, it says less than 10% of the U.S. population have formed antibodies against SARS. Well, SARS-CoV.
Yeah, SARS-CoV,
we're
yeah.
calling it now. That is a tiny percentage. So those that are hoping that if they open everything up and people start getting infected and more get infected, look how many infections there have been in the States, and less
Oh,
than
yeah.
10% of the population have antibodies against
Yeah,
COVID.
yeah.
So really, that's not protective. They're talking, when you talk herd immunity, you're talking,
70%, something
at
like
least
that.
70%
Yeah.
have antibodies against that.
Yeah.
So It's been what, 6 months, 7 months,
7 months,
in the States,
yeah.
and they still only have less than 10% of the population
Yeah.
with antibodies against COVID. That's kind of telling you something.
Yeah,
It's kind of
yeah.
telling you something that we're never going to get up to herd immunity.
No,
It doesn't matter if we have everything open here and people are getting sick left and right. Apparently, not everybody is forming the antibodies,
Yeah,
or
and-
there's not enough antibodies to protect them, which is what we're really waiting for, that vaccine.
Yeah.
And the vaccine, as we know, they're trying to rush it through.
Yeah, but there's still, it's not going to be here before an election.
It really
you know.
shouldn't be. It would be putting people in harm's way
Yeah.
to try and rush this through.
Yeah, maybe by the end of the year, beginning of the year, I don't know.
Beginning
you
of the
know.
year, end of this year, beginning of next year. Some people are saying even the second quarter of the next year is
April,
when it's
May,
going to
June,
be.
Yeah.
I know there's so many companies that are trying to produce a vaccine as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
But you still have to go through all the rigorous safety stuff.
Yeah.
Approving it for emergency use,
That's not going to be wide scale, though. It's not
it's
going
not
to
going
be,
to be wide scale.
They're not going to come out with 300 million doses of that, or even
Yeah.
I read that the company who makes the God, the name escapes me, the one that President Trump took.
Oh, the monoclonal antibody one. Produced by Regeneron.
Yeah, yeah,
The
that's-
company is Regeneron. The
The
vaccine
company
isn't.
is
Yeah.
not called Regeneron, but they're they've got a stockpile, I think, of about 50,000 doses.
Right. They don't have a whole lot.
And even if they do produce 1 million of them, it's not going to be 3 weeks from now.
Right.
They're not going to start doling that out in 3 weeks from now. They, like you said, they still have to go through even fast tracked.
Right.
People think fast track's 2 weeks, and
Yeah.
normally it take. I worked for a medical company in Georgia.
What have you not done?
Well, we basically, it was a plastics factory. I was a plant manager, and we made delivery systems. The diabetic pumps, stuff like that. And when they would, the way I understood it is that when they would, I can't remember the name of the product that we made, but it was for diabetes. No, it was for COPD. It was a type of an inhaler, and the normal process from when the company said, okay, here's the product that we put forth, to it actually being produced was about 3 to 4 years. So 1 year.
That's average.
That's
That's
average.
average,
So
yeah.
fast tracking is basically a year. It's not 3 weeks.
Year and a half,
So people
year
hear
and a
fast
half.
tracking,
Yeah.
like, oh, it'll be ready in 2 weeks. No, fast tracking is like a year.
You
It's
could not
yeah.
produce that many doses
No.
because you're not going to produce 1 million doses to
Yeah.
test it on a certain population to make sure it's safe. You're not
Yeah.
going to produce that many doses.
Yeah.
You have to make sure it's safe. You have to see if you have to tweak it any,
Yeah.
change it any. You're not going to spend all your money say this one is going to work. I'm going to produce 1 million doses. We're going to try out 30,000 of them on our test subjects.
Yep.
And if it works, then we'll be able to distribute it right away.
Yeah.
No, that's not how it works.
And I know literally nothing about how vaccines are made or produced, but I do know that with this company, it was a German pharmaceutical company, the manufacturing branch. When we would get a product to start, like say the inhaler, well, for 6 or 8 months alone, we were sending samples back.
Right.
We were sending samples to the FDA, sending samples to whoever required the samples.
Right. Many samples.
We're making control groups, and thousands and thousands of these samples, and then we'd have representatives show up in their official white coats to inspect the facility, and then make sure that the sample control numbers. Man, it was such.
They want to see the whole process too.
It was such an unbelievably complex project that took days to complete, and this had to be done like 3-4 times a month for 6 months to a year.
It's not easy.
No, and
it's not just okay. Come to the clinic. We're going to give you this dose. If it turns out well, then we're going to start distributing.
And that's just a manufacturing process. That says nothing about the actual chemical.
Right.
The actual development of the vaccine. And you put all that together.
And to be sure, the Regeneron product is not a vaccine and it's not a cure. What it is it taking antibodies from specific infections of COVID. They're not, it's not just one kind. It's kind of like the flu vaccine.
Right.
A couple different
They're like 4 main strains or something.
Yeah. A couple different strains that they've actually kind of synthetically mass produced. Instead of taking what they call the convalescent plasma, which is, you know, the antibodies from a person that has been sick and recovered, they are taking some antibodies from a couple of patients, but they don't require them now because they're synthetically producing it from the antibodies that they received from some of the donor patients. And that helps produce it a lot faster and in greater quantities, but that doesn't mean that you can produce a million doses in a couple of days.
Well, that's one of the things that concerns me, is when every time someone comes out, and by someone I mean our illustrious president,
any politician that
comes out and says, "Hey, I have a cure. This is a cure." The president was on TV the other day saying, "I was cured. This is a cure. They're not therapeutics. They're cures, and we're going to fast track this, and it's going to be ready." Everybody desperately wants this to go away. Everybody desperately wants to, be able to get the vaccine. Well, half of the people anyway.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that don't trust the vaccine as it is, much less if it gets fast-tracked any faster than they're doing.
But, Dr. Fauci and several others have come out and said this just doesn't work that way. It doesn't.
It might work for some people. It might not work for others. And remember, patients are receiving a cocktail of drugs. It's not just one thing they're receiving. Right. We don't really know which one is the one that's having an effect, if any of them are.
Yeah.
We have heard conflicting stories of what medications and what drug cocktails the president received. We don't know for sure.
Right.
That's kind of like someone says this and then someone else says, no, it wasn't that. And we don't know. But we do know that they probably did give him a whole slew of different medications. We don't know which one worked.
Yeah, or which combination worked. It's like a Rubik's Cube.
And this Regeneron, the monoclonal antibodies, even so, it takes a while to form more and more antibodies. This is to help your body pick up that response against an illness, a virus. That doesn't happen in a few hours.
Yeah.
Just because they had to give him, I believe it was multiple doses of this product from Regeneron, the monoclonal antibodies, to help build up his body's defense against the virus. So, anyone that claims that they feel better in 2 hours or 3 hours.
Well, that might have been the steroids.
It might have been the steroids. That we suspect he was receiving steroids. Some people say yes, some people say no of his medical team. And I believe I read something, and I don't remember where I read it, that we hear him coughing in his recent interviews, and the congestion, and he admitted, from what I read in this article, that he had a scan done, probably a CT of his lungs, and it shows congestion, but he also says he's cured.
Yeah,
so
in fact,
I'm not sure.
That was a story that I posted that this morning. It was in Forbes.
Okay.
Said in what was billed by Fox News beforehand as an interview and medical evaluation of President Donald Trump by Dr. Mark Siegel, the president revealed Friday that scans found congestion in his lungs, but he denied that he ever had problems breathing after contracting COVID. And you can read that if you want. It's on Forbes. But congestion, and Forbes is a pretty reliable source of information. So, what does that mean? If you have congestion,
it means usually if you have congestion, everybody knows when you have congestion, it's hard to breathe. So, we'll take it for what it's worth. We don't know, but we do hear him coughing in some of his interviews. We did see him, struggling to breathe after walking up the White House steps. That's going to happen when you have a virus.
Yeah.
We can't, it's nothing against the president. It's not that he's not strong. It's not that he's not his body's not fighting off this virus. But to deny that it's there and to deny that it has any health effects is wrong.
Yeah.
We have to be careful about doing that.
I think some people are under the impression that if you admit you're sick, you're somehow weak. And people get sick all the time.
Yeah.
And whether they're strong or weak, it's not. I don't think a virus approaches you and said, man, that guy's got some abs and his deltoids are cut and he's obviously
Right.
strong. We're gonna move on to the guy in the wheelchair. It doesn't
Right.
work that way. It's
No.
not discriminatory. And if you feel sick, it's not a point of shame.
No,
you
it's
should
not.
never.
Everybody gets sick. Everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody. It doesn't mean you're not healthy. It doesn't mean you don't have a strong immune system, but everybody's going to get sick at some time. Are you hearing music?
Yeah, I'm hearing music.
Yeah.
I'm hearing music. I hear music. It's a good
Bolívar,
tune.
estamos escuchando música. Gracias.
I was like, that's a catchy tune.
Yeah, I don't mind the music in the background actually, but it seems to go up and down.
But what I think the issue is stigma. You
There
don't
is a
want
stigma,
you don't
yeah.
want a stigma. That doesn't help
Yeah.
anybody. It doesn't help the people who are sick. It doesn't
Right.
help the people who are next to you that you might get sick.
Yeah.
and if
Everyone that I've talked to that has had this virus has said, you don't want this. You don't
Yeah.
want to get this. But symptomatic people, let's put it
Yeah.
that way. And it's no fun. I mean, think of like the worst virus that you've ever
Yeah.
gotten, cold, flu, whatever.
Yeah.
You know how your body aches and
Oh,
the
God, yeah.
fever and you
Yeah.
just feel run down and rotten and
Well, it's also very easy to lull yourself into a false sense of security. I've got a lot of underlying conditions, but as far as things like the flu, right? The last time I got the flu, there's the music again.
there's a ghost in the machine.
Yeah, there's a ghost in the machine.
There's a ghost in the
The
machine.
last time I got the flu was 1985. To where I needed medicine. I needed to go to the hospital. I was
Right.
that bad. As far as things like colds, coronaviruses and whatnot, I rarely get them.
Yeah.
I probably, in my memory that I could think of from when I was a child, from the time I was 9 when I got my tonsils out, I probably got a bad cold maybe a dozen or 2 times. I don't get sick that way.
Yeah.
So it would be easier. It's easy for someone like me that has a strong immune system in that way to think, well, I haven't gotten the flu in 45 years.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten.
I never get sick.
I
Yeah.
never get sick, and while that may be true, I'm still very wary and I'm
Yeah.
still very careful because I know I'm not 20 years old anymore, obviously, but
And this particular coronavirus, we don't have antibodies yet.
Yeah.
We don't. It jumped from, we suspect, from animal species to us, and we just don't have those antibodies built up to be able to say, okay, I'll get it, but it'll be like having a cold.
yeah.
It's not necessarily
We
going to
don't
be
know
that
that,
way
no.
because we don't have defense. Our bodies don't recognize it as a bad thing coming in.
It's good tunes, man. Good tunes. But
So-
yeah, no, it's. But I know people that are like, I'm strong. I never get sick.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten a cold in years. I don't get the flu. I never get stuff. And that great. I'm happy.
Yeah.
For you. I'm happy for myself that
Yeah.
I don't get those kind of.
Yeah.
I got sick in December for the first time, and it wasn't like a cold sick. It was
Yeah.
more of like a body aches and
Body
whatnot.
aches, yeah.
And
Just
I
feeling bad.
I was in Georgia. We went last Christmas to visit family, and we were there for 10 days, and I was sick for 8.5 of those days.
That sucks.
it did. It wasn't, and it was freezing because it was December in
Yeah.
northern Georgia. So, but it still wasn't like a cold, like a
Yeah.
head cold. It was more in my chest.
just yeah.
But even with that, even with the rare occasions that I get, those coronaviruses, it's easy for people to get lulled into, well, I'm strong, I never get
Yeah,
sick.
yeah.
But like you said, we don't have the antibodies.
We don't have the defense built up against it yet, and over time it'll happen. Okay, guys, we have about 15 minutes left in the show. The number to call in if you have any questions or comments, 6-729-5729. We'd be glad to hear from you. We've been kind of just having a conversation between ourselves here, but I think if it's helping anybody to listen to it and to realize that everybody just got to sit tight and be patient, and hopefully a vaccine will come out soon, or better treatments like the antibody treatment, the monoclonal antibody, hopefully, But yeah, like you said, there's not a whole lot of evidence yet. We don't have
Yeah.
enough time to have enough evidence to say these treatments are going to work. This is going to, like, help us open everything up and be back to normal.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry about that.
That is that word, that normal word. I know
Yeah.
a lot of people are getting tired of hearing, the new normal.
New
the
normal, yeah, that's the catchphrase. Yeah.
But it's funny though, that as bad as everybody wants everything to open up, unless you're a complete, science denier, and at that point, no one's reaching anybody. But you have to consider the fact, like what you just said about not having the antibodies, not having a whole lot of
not a whole
comparative
lot to treat it,
information on that. Now,
is that Roger pulling up in that nice car?
I know he's got some nice toys.
Yeah, he's got some fun toys.
But yeah,
about shiny.
not I know. Hello, but not to have the not to have enough information is.
This is such a young virus.
Yeah, and we all want to get out, like you said. We all want to support our local businesses. You can still do that by ordering. Ordering out. I'm not saying don't go visit. My show was sponsored by Chris Young, and he's got 3 restaurants in town.
And
I want nothing but success
Yeah.
for all of our merchants here,
But I think we're all scared, because even the people that have been saying, open everything up, let's open it up, there's a lot of those people that say, well, you know what, I'm going to sit back and watch what happens before I decide to go eat in a restaurant. And that's perfectly fine. Yeah, go ahead and open stuff up, but all of you that are worried, concerned about your health, concerned about the pre-existing conditions that you have, be worried and use that worry and say, hey, I'm going to wait.
Yeah.
But don't let that discourage you from ordering out, getting takeout from the restaurants and
you still
that
hear
kind of thing. I'm hearing myself in the echo there.
All right.
Yeah, so I'm going to take off the
I'm
headphones.
gonna put my headphones over here. Yeah. They're nice headphones, though.
Yeah,
made by
they're comfortable,
Panasonic.
aren't they? They're comfortable.
There's a little bit of delay because we're now on with the internet.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right. So we're getting a little bit of delay, a little bit of feedback on our headphones here.
So I'm
So
just keeping my headphones on.
to solve that problem, we're taking off the headphones. And anyways,
The shiny car is gone.
yeah, we both got distracted by the shiny. We're sorry, you guys can't see it out there, but we're watching Roger pull up in his car, and both of us were like, wow,
That's nice. Looking over at my dumpy little Honda.
Oh, Hondas are great,
I
though.
love my Honda. Yeah. It's disinfected too.
Yeah, well, if you're like me, I've got alcohol gel, I've got alcohol wipes, I've got spray alcohol, I've got paper towels. I've probably got bandages and face masks and.
I think the tobacco probably kills everything in my car.
Well, it does keep bugs off plants if you make a spray out of boiled tobacco leaves and some Listerine and some soap. You can spray it on your plants, and that's a better natural way to prevent the insects from eating your plants.
It's true. It doesn't help my lungs though.
No, I wouldn't recommend it. No,
don't.
But,
Yeah.
work
I
on
know.
one thing at a time.
One thing at a time.
Yeah.
You get to a point in your life where you're like, okay, well, what bad habits can I keep? And what bad habits do I really need to think about getting rid of? And maybe staying up too late really isn't too bad. Occasionally overeating a little bit, probably not going to hurt you. But I've been smoking cigarettes since I'm 11, and that makes 48 years.
So your lungs are not happy with you, probably.
No, and you know what the stupid thing is every time I get a chest X-ray, which is frequently because I have COPD, they come out great. The last chest X-ray I had was about 3 months ago when I had my cancer surgery, and the doctor at what's the place? Todo Salud, I think, down there in David.
That's a nice clinic.
Yeah, he told me, I thought you smoked. And I said, I've been smoking over 45 years. He goes, your lungs look great, which gives me a false sense of security.
That is not the encouragement you need.
No, see, that's not, I need you to tell me, there's a spot, scare me into quitting because, the nicotine is more powerful than heroin. It's more addictive than cocaine, and
a lot of people have trouble quitting. They have to try 2, 3, 4 times.
I have tried every possible smoking cessation program, to where I've come to the point where I realize that it's me. I'm just not ready to quit yet. Because everything that I've tried that I have failed works for other people.
Or maybe you need that one of those shock collar things.
Right?
Like every time you light up, some day goes. Zzz.
Yeah, well, that's a whole other show right there.
Wait a second.
Hello.
What?
But yeah, telling a lifetime heavy smoker, hey, your lungs look great.
Yeah, no, that's not.
So thanks, I think.
Yeah, but I hear that cough, and that cough doesn't.
Hola. Oh, it's the pizza ladies
We have
here.
pizzeria.
Brasilissimo.
In the house, and she's going to tell us a little bit about her specials and her phone number to contact, because this weekend is lockdown weekend, and
Dun.
hopefully one of the last, but
Yes.
probably we've got a couple more.
And if you're out driving around, please understand that Cherokee Grande is not the same thing as Cherokee Province. Go home.
Exactly, go home. If you get caught out in the streets, you're going to get fined. So Marisa, what can you tell us?
¿Cómo está?
Buenos días, bendiciones a todos. Pizzería Brasileirísimo, aberto todos los días, en la calle principal ahora, donde era la antigua pizzería volcánica. Invito que pueda venir y conocer nuestro nuevo local. Y creo que en nombre de Jesús va a agradar del local y también de la comida. Pero hoy no se puede visitar, ni mañana. Entonces, pida en 6546-5663 y llevamos hasta su casa. Pastas, pizzas, carnes, pescados, todo muy rico, muy delicioso.
Todo delicioso. Todo delicioso.
So order from Pizzeria Brasileirísimo. There's got to be some soccer games on today.
Oh,
some
yeah.
football games on, college. Tomorrow, NFL. So call up Pizzeria Brasileirísimo. Get your pizza, your pasta. Get your
Pollo,
chicken
pescado, everything.
fingers, fish fingers. And I forget the number already because my memory isn't as good
Number
as...
is 6546-58663.
Ah, see?
6546-58663.
All I gotta do is-
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I got it on mine now too because I ordered from. I actually ordered last weekend. I ordered from you on Sunday, and we got the fish sticks and the chicken sticks, and I got the cheese fries. Now, unfortunately, I got called out to work right as she pulled up to deliver the food, so I ate it lukewarm when I finally got home, but it was still delicious.
Yes.
Oh,
Good
gracias,
food,
gracias.
Good food. Comes to you. It's nice and hot when it arrives, and it's good stuff. So if you are not wanting to cook and you're just going to want to relax and watch the games, watch the NFL, watch soccer, whatever you're watching, baseball series,
See?
order
Or just Netflix.
Netflix, and you don't feel like cooking yourself, or you didn't make it to the store before the crowds hit,
Uh-huh.
and you couldn't get the ingredients that you needed to make your food, they are glad to cook for you.
See?
Sim,
See?
now having pastas and shrimp. Tenemos pastas con camarones ahora.
Ah,
Pizza con
shrimp.
camarones también.
Mm.
Sim.
Pasta and pizza with shrimp. Now, doesn't that
Oh.
sound
Camarones,
good? That
cuatro
sounds
quesos con
good.
legumbres también, que es muy bueno.
Hey, the vegetarian pizza that I had last
Sí,
week
sí,
was,
sí, sí.
was good.
It's muy delicioso.
Yeah.
Very good, yeah.
Tem que provar e pedir em 6546-5663. 6546-58663.
And that's from 11 a.m. until
10 p.m.
10
p.m.
for delivery, take out.
Sábados y domingo.
Sábado
Every
y
week.
domingo.
Sí.
Every week, take out hasta las 7 p.m. Y sábado y domingo, delivery hasta las 10.
Sí.
So there you go. So, you can either pick up or eat in until 7 p.m. weekdays. On weekends, order to take out. You can do your order by WhatsApp so that you don't have to call in if you're too embarrassed to try and speak your Spanish or you don't think you'll be understood in English. Then send a WhatsApp.
Yes.
And they send you a menu to the WhatsApp so that you can see what kind of foods are being offered, and she will give you a delivery time, and she will get it there as close to that delivery time as she possibly can.
Yep, they've never been late. I've ordered from them several times, and it's always been boom right there.
And it's always fresh. It's always hot. Good food. So we have a few minutes left here. Would you like to? Do you have anything to add?
Well, since when we were sitting here, and we said, I thought I heard your name. I have a little graphic here that I wanted to share about and of course now I can't find it, right? Because oh no, wait, I think I have it. There it is. Yeah, there it is. All right. Best local programming on Radio Chiriquí. Okay, there's 4 shows that you really, really need to be watching. First, and I might be a little biased on
listening.
Is Boquete Now Talk Radio. That's my show.
With our very own Al Stefanelli.
That's right. It is on Friday mornings from 10 to 11. I cover local and national happenings as well as current events, special global news stories. I usually have a guest. Sometimes I'm solo. And then we have today's show, Talking with Your Doctor, or in Spanish, it's
Conversando con tu Medico.
And it's a non-conventional medical talk show in both English and Spanish, covering a variety of topics designed to educate the community on current issues having to do with general health and well-being. Hosted by Dr. Shannon Tuer.
And sometimes also by Al Stefanelli.
And then we have the one that started it all on the air with Cynthia Slade and Barbara Fiorucci. That's Mondays from 10 to 11. It's a weekly talk show, also covering local events. And
usually they have their guests also.
They have their guests. And then you have Strange Brew, who is actually the grandfather of the shows here. Not a talk show, but it's a tried and true traditional radio disc jockey show, bringing you back to the grand old days of music. That is on Fridays, new time from noon to 1, and rebroadcast on Mondays. I know, right? Mondays from noon to 1. So yeah, and all these programs can be listened live or on Radio Garden, TuneIn, and all those other apps.
And YouTube on Radio Chiriquí Boquete. You can sometimes watch some of our shows. Also, some of them are taped, and you can watch them later if you missed the show.
Yep.
I know a lot of people say, I forgot your show was on.
And Boquete Now has its own YouTube page,
and Boquete Now has its own YouTube page and
Facebook page.
Facebook, yeah, definitely. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Radio Chiriquí, Radio Garden. And, well, I think that's about all the time we have for now. This has been Talking with Your Doctor, here with Al Stefanelli and me, Dr. Shannon Tour. Guys, don't be shy. Don't hesitate to call in. Next time, hopefully, get some calls here, but...
No, you know what we need to do? We need to, troll Facebook.
Yeah.
And everyone whose phone number is public, we need to write it down and call them. Oh. We're gonna call you. No.
Oh, and prank calls are fun too. Yeah, no, just kidding.
You have Prince Albert in a can.
And remember, if you have any medical questions, concerns, need a consultation, I can be found at the clinic in front of Melo, the specialty clinic there. Dr. Gomez or myself. My WhatsApp to reach me for appointments, 6507-4299. Don't hesitate to send a message, make an appointment. This has been Talking with Your Doctor. I'm here with Al Stefanelli, and we wish you a wonderful weekend.
Pasa un buen día.